Welcome back to the Balanced Hormones Empowered Women podcast. I'm your host, Abby Vallejo, registered dietitian, certified personal trainer, and health coach. And what I do is I teach women over 40 how to lose body fat, balance their hormones, and get their energy back in a feminine-based approach that's about working smarter, not harder. So today I want to talk about weight loss and why weight loss is nuanced, right? So many people are out there trying to lose weight and really struggling or completely failing. And this is because weight loss is more complicated than just, well, eat less, right? I have so many clients and so many women that I've heard from that have gone to the doctor. Maybe they're looking to lose some weight, and the doctor's like, well, why don't you just eat less? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is not helpful. It is so much more nuanced than that. So today we're going to break down those nuances. This is what I have spent my career doing, helping women, mostly women over 40, women in perimenopause, women in menopause, because we kind of need to do things our own way, right? It's not just enough to say, oh, you just need to work out more and eat less. I feel like maybe that advice worked decades ago, right? It really doesn't work. It's not enough this day and age. And also, as women, we always need to take our hormones into account. So, how I'm going to break down today's episode, I'm going to talk about diet and exercise. Obviously, we know those are two very important things if we want to lose weight. We're going to also talk about why diet and exercise isn't always enough. So, in my years as a practitioner, I have identified these hidden barriers to weight loss where if these barriers are present in your life, no amount of diet or exercising will work. It will be a constant uphill battle until you identify and remove these barriers. I'm going to tell you how to do that. And then we're going to talk about more solutions of how you can overcome this. So let's start with diet and exercise because those are, the two obvious things, right? When we think about, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to lose fat, that's kind of the first things we think about, right? Like, okay, well, maybe I should go on a diet or eat better, clean up my eating, maybe I need to work out, right? Those are the first two things. So we all kind of know that in order to lose weight, we need to be in somewhat of a caloric deficit, right? And that just means less calories coming in than what you're actually burning. So a lot of people will say, well, just eat 500 calories less per day and you'll start to lose weight. Yeah, that can work. That can work. So the thing is that you want to start off from the right point though, because here's the thing. Do you know how many calories, have you had your macros calculated? Do you know what ratio of nutrients your body needs? And so if you just lop off 500 from whatever you're currently doing, is that really going to be an effective method, right? I think one of the most effective ways, if you want to get into the nitty gritty to make sure that you're getting the right amount of nutrients for yourself, because here's the thing, you don't want to go into starvation mode, right? If you lop off too many calories, it will put your body into starvation mode. And what does your body do when it's in starvation mode? It conserves calories and it holds on to fat. And this harks back to our primal ancestors who went through famines and didn't have food readily available, right? We still have the same metabolism and the same body, the same biology that humans have had for thousands and thousands of years ago, going back to the caveman days. So was it conducive to their survival to hold on to weight or to burn everything really easily? No, that's why humans store fat, right? Unfortunately, it still works like this. So you do not want to put your body into starvation mode. If you lop off too many calories, it's going to go into starvation mode. You are not going to be able to lose weight. And that's why, it's never good to go on a starvation diet, but that's why you see people really struggling on these really restrictive diets. And they often don't work. And they certainly don't work long term. And they're not good for your health. They're not good for your hormones, but they don't actually work. Because you stress your body out and you put it into starvation mode, you're not going to lose weight. It's like shooting yourself in the foot, right? So we don't want to do that. So basically, you want to get your macros calculated by someone like me who knows what they're doing, right? So they can calculate how many calories and how much nutrition you actually need to be healthy, but not too much that you're, adding on extra weight, right? So when I go and calculate someone's macros, the first thing I always do is I calculate their basal metabolic rate. Now, this is different per the individual, right? It depends on your size. It depends on your activity level. This is tailored to you. Anyway, I calculate the basal metabolic rate, This is the amount of nutrition and calories that your body needs just to function, just to be alive, your internal functions. It's not including your daily activities, any exercise, or anything like that. You can't go below this. And this is why sometimes it's kind of dangerous to be using those calculators that you get on whatever app you're using that, maybe has an algorithm that you put some numbers in there and it spits it out for you. Whether you're not actually working with a real person who's actually reviewing this and thinking, okay, is this going to actually kick this person into starvation mode? I have plenty of clients who have come to me and they've been on some crazy diet that some app put them on, telling them that they could only have this much of this and this much of that. And it was completely not working for them. And they were not happy. They did not feel nourished and satiated, and they were not losing the weight. Imagine that. So you need to have an actual person that understands the nuances, that can go and calculate these macros tailored to you and tailored to your needs and your goals, right? Because it also depends on how active you are, what your goals are, right? So this is important. And you never go below the basal metabolic rate. That will put you into starvation mode, right? And then on top of that, you calculate in needs, goals, activity factor, and so on. So when I say macros, of course, I mean the macronutrients, right? So fat, carbs, and protein. That's kind of taking all types of food and just lopping into those three main categories, right? So they're either fats, they're proteins, or they're carbs. All things that we need, none of them are evil or bad. We need all of them. However, we need them in different ratios. Now, here's the nuance thing. We as women actually have different macro needs throughout the month because our hormones change throughout the month. So if I were to calculate macros for a man, men are hormonally the same every single day. They have testosterone. They get testosterone every 15 minutes. They're just kind of steady with that testosterone. You can put them on one diet. You can put them on one macronutrient plan, and it usually works really well. That's why if a husband and a wife go in to lose weight and they get put on the same plan, the man usually always loses weight first and more easily. And the woman's like, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. It's just that you have different hormones than he does. So that works really well for men. It does not work well for women, right? If you were to go, just for fun, you could even do this. Google like women's monthly hormone cycle, because it's not just the period, right? The period's just part of it. But if you were to actually Google that and look at a graph of what our hormones are doing throughout the month, there would be multiple hormones and they'd be going up and down, spiking and dipping throughout the month. That's normal. They follow a pattern. Estrogen rises at a specific point. Testosterone rises. We do have testosterone as women. Testosterone rises at a specific point. Progesterone rises and dips at a specific point, right? Like clockwork. It's like the cycles of the moon. I'm always saying we as women are like the moon, right? The moon goes through different phases. It becomes full. Then it waxes and wanes. It's a new moon. It's a full moon. We as women are going through the exact same thing every month long. And even if we don't have a cycle, even if we've already gone through menopause or we're on birth control or our cycle's irregular, we still have these same hormones that have these same cyclical needs and natures. So if you were to think of each hormone as having a different personality and different needs, this translates to we have different needs at different times of the month. And this is a huge part of what I teach. And this is where it gets nuanced. So it's more than just, do I have the right macros? It's, do I have the right macros for the hormonal phase that I'm in, depending on what time of the month I'm in. So I divide the month into 4 phases. And in each of these phases, I adjust my nutrition, my macros, and my workouts according to what the needs are of the hormone that's coming out to play in that phase. Now, it sounds a little complicated. It's really not. I promise you, it's actually very easy. And once you get into the pattern, you're doing the same thing every month. It's like following a cycle. It's very easy. Now, I do the same thing for my ladies who are irregular or don't have a cycle. You can just get into the same pattern, pick whatever day you want on the calendar, follow the phases, and you get good results with that as well. The important thing is that we want to, as women, we always want to take our hormones into account when we're doing any type of nutrition or exercise plan. That is so important. We really don't get optimal results unless we do that. So when women are asking me about, popular diets or well-known diets or diets that people even get really good results on, say like keto or low carb or carnivore or things like intermittent fasting. I'm not against any of those things. Women will come and ask me, what do you think about these? And I'm like, yeah, they're great, but they're tools that we need to know how and when to apply. They're not something that we should just apply across the board and that's it. Men can do that, right? We really can't though. And this is why, even though some people swear by them, and I know a lot of people have like healed their gut or healed their autoimmune disease with like keto or carnivore, that's awesome. I think short term, therapeutically, if you need to do that, go for it. Absolutely. But you hear about so many women long term that then they get hormonal imbalances, often estrogen dominance, because these types of diets support estrogen, but they don't support progesterone. And then you get estrogen dominance and hormonal imbalances, or sometimes women will talk about they started, their hair started falling out or weird symptoms like that. Or they just simply, it stopped working. That, maybe worked really good for a few months and then it just stopped. And then they started plateauing and now they can't seem to fix their metabolism. Their metabolism's kind of screwed up or their hormones are screwed up, right? I hear this a lot. And so I'm saying this all the time. If you listen to me, you probably heard me say this before, but as women, we need to do things in cycles. Mother Nature exists in cycles. We have day and night. We have the seasons. We have, it's like we have the moon. It's everything exists in cycles. We need to do that as well, especially us as women. But when we do, that's where the magic happens. So if you want to get the most out of your diet and exercise, if you want to get the most out of your macros and your nutrition, you need to have them calculated for your hormones. So you're working with your body, not against it. That's why I'm always saying this is a feminine-based approach about working smarter, not harder. I'm not here to have you suffer through some diet that works for a man but is working against your hormones. How is that ever going to work long term, right? Oh, great, I'm cutting calories, I'm doing all these strict things, I might see some results initially, but how is that going to work when long term your hormones are all out of balance? When long term you're actually going to mess up your metabolism, right? I see this time and time again. So don't let that happen, right? Or if it did happen, let's heal it, right? Because it's never too late. We can go back and we can heal it. So always, always, always take your hormones into account. So basically, if you are working with a doctor or a trainer or any practitioner out there, even if they're functional or holistic, and you are a woman and they're not taking your hormones into account, they're doing you a disservice. They're doing you a disservice. That always needs to be taken into account. Yes, we talked about diet and exercise, and yes, of course, if you want to lose weight, even if you don't, diet and nutrition and exercise matter, right? If you want to be healthy, if you want to have energy, if you want to be the best version of yourself, if you want to have good longevity, right? They matter. They're things that we should all care about and try to incorporate in our lives in ways that are right for us, right? So we should never discount them. However, another huge thing that I am always talking about is that if you are doing all the right things in your diet and your exercise and you're still not seeing results and your body is inflamed and it's holding on to weight, there are underlying barriers. What I was mentioning in the beginning, there are underlying barriers in place that are causing weight loss resistance. And if you have this weight loss resistance, you have to remove those barriers. Otherwise, you will not lose weight, not even dieting, not even with exercise. It will be a horrible uphill battle and you will plateau. So you need to address these underlying barriers. And this is a huge part of what I do. I'm always saying my job is to help play detective. So if we got your nutrition dialed in and we've got your hormones dialed in and we've got your fitness dialed in and you're not getting the results that we should be seeing, we need to look and investigate what underlying barriers are in the way, right? I'm very much a root causes person. If your body's not responding the way it should be, there is a reason, right? It's like the body talking to you. The body doesn't speak in English, it speaks in symptoms. It speaks in stubbornness, sometimes, I guess you could say. If it's not letting go of the weight when you're doing all the right things, there's a reason why. There's an underlying barrier why. So I have spent my career identifying what these underlying barriers are. So let me just give you a little example of some of these. So obviously hormonal imbalances. If you have hormonal imbalances going on, especially estrogen dominance, it is really hard to lose weight. If you have high levels of stress and your cortisol is out of control, it is really hard to lose weight. Cortisol is going to tell your body to store fat. And you know where it's going to tell it to store fat? in the belly. If you have belly fat, that's probably cortisol and estrogen and or. High levels of estrogen will store fat in the belly. High levels of cortisol store fat in the belly. So those are things to look at if you have a lot of belly fat. Toxins, we're all exposed to toxins, right? If you have a high toxic burden in your body or your body's having trouble detoxifying environmental chemicals, you're going to have trouble losing weight. Insulin resistance, this is a big one. So many people have problems with blood sugar, and this is why those GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic have become so popular, because they do help with blood sugar. However, I'm not a fan of those. They cause you to lose more than just fat. They cause you to lose muscle. And when you get off them, you tend to just gain all that weight right back. So it is much better to do this naturally. You can stimulate all those things naturally without the side effects. So if you have high levels of blood sugar, that's high levels of insulin, right? So if your blood sugar goes up, your insulin's high. Insulin is a fat storage hormone. So if you have insulin resistance, it's going to be telling your body to store fat. Whether you're exercising or not, your body's going to be getting an ongoing signal, store fat, store fat, store fat, store fat. So that has to be fixed if you want to lose weight. And this is a problem in so many people. This is getting more and more common. So if weight loss is an issue for you, I highly recommend looking into your blood sugar. Get that measured. You can even go to the pharmacy and just get a glucose monitor and measure it yourself at home with the little finger prick, right? Or you can get something like the Keto Mojo, which measures ketones and blood glucose. Or you can go to the doctor and you get your labs run, get your glucose run, but also ask for hemoglobin A1C, which is an average of your blood glucose over a 3-month period. It's what they use to diagnose prediabetes and diabetes. And get these numbers. And even if the doctor's like, oh, I'm not worried about it, maybe you're not overweight. Get these numbers, because if you're over the age of 30 and you are not actively building muscle and have good muscle tone, you probably have blood sugar problems, because we need muscles to help balance blood sugar. Thyroid's another one. So many women have underfunctioning thyroids. The thyroid is super implicated in your energy levels and your metabolism. So if your thyroid's not working great, neither will your metabolism. Bile insufficiency. So bile is made in the liver, stored in the gallbladder, released when we eat any amount of fat. We need it for proper fat metabolism. If we don't have good levels of bile, you're not metabolizing fat properly. And guess what? Like 80% of women over 40 have bile that's too thick to properly metabolize fat. This is a problem I see again and again, and it's also pretty easy to fix. We can fix all of these things. Inflammation is another one. If your body's inflamed and it's in a state of, remember, survival mode, it's not going to want to let go of weight. And then, like I was mentioning, if you are under eating and overtraining, which is common, right? Because women are just told, oh, we'll just work out more, eat less, simple. And it's usually said by a man, right? Which is so frustrating. Not to knock on men. There's so many wonderful men out there, but how many times have we heard some male doctor say, oh, just, work out more and eat less. You're just being lazy. If you just applied yourself, you'd get the results you want. Yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore, ladies. That's why I'm here. We do not have to live life that way, okay? If things are not working for you, there is a reason why, and we need to investigate and find out what those underlying barriers are. When we remove those barriers and heal them, guess what? The weight comes off. It does. I've seen it happen time and time again. So, all important things to know. If you are thinking, okay, yeah, totally, okay, I'm on board, but I'm a little overwhelmed with all this information that you're giving me. Like, where do I start? That all sounds well and good, but as soon as I stop listening to this podcast, what am I actually going to do about it? Probably nothing, right? I have a solution for you. I have a new program called Metabolic Makeover. These are things that I've been teaching for years as a practitioner, but this is the first time that I've put it together in an actual program, like a plan that you can follow. Let me just break it down for you. It's a 6-week program. So week 1 is going to be all about nutrition. So get your macros calculated. I will personally calculate macros that are right for you as an individual, your needs. It's not a one-size-fits-all plan. I am actually getting the information from you and calculating your macros and making a plan that's right for you. We're going to cycle sync with your nutrition. I'll give you a meal plan with meals to follow. We'll talk about clean eating. We're going to go into gut health and digestion, right? Because it's not just what we eat, it's what we absorb. Week 2, we're going to get into fitness. So especially for fat loss over 40. So what to do for fitness over 40, what works, what doesn't work, the things we think we should be doing, but that actually really don't even help. We're going to cycle sync with the workouts and get a workout plan that's right for you, right? This is not some 25-year-old male fitness trainer who has no idea about hormones, who just is giving you the same thing he gives to men. No, that's not going to work. We need to do it appropriately for women to get the best results for our bodies, right? Week 3, biohacks to burn fat. So not only are we starting with nutrition and fitness, but there are these biohacks that we can incorporate. A lot of them are easy and free, and they help upregulate your body's ability to burn fat. They also help give you more energy, and they help balance your nervous system to bring down your cortisol. Such a win-win. These are things I'm doing on a weekly, if not daily basis, because they work so well. Really help me maintain my results. Week 4, of course, we're going to talk all about hormones. I mean, how could we not, right? We're going to talk about the hormones. We're going to talk about hormonal imbalances, how they affect your metabolism, signs and symptoms of hormonal imbalance, and solutions. Because I'm not just about giving you the information, I'm about giving you the solutions so that you can be empowered to build a sustainable life that you know is going to work for you long term, so you can get those results and maintain them in a sustainable way. Weeks 5 and 6, we're going to go into all those barriers that cause weight loss resistance and what to do about them. So not just what are they, but how you can actually fix them. I'm going to help you address them one by one. And then finally, after 6 weeks, we're going to wrap up and you're going to get a one-on-one session with me because I want to help you decide how you're going to implement all of this in your life. So as we go through each week, I'm going to give you little homework assignments that you can be doing that week already to get everything going. And when we get to the end, we're going to sit down together and just tie everything up nicely together. And I'm going to help you, give you a plan moving forward. So not only will you have start getting results, but how are you going to continue to get results and make this a sustainable long-term thing. So the 6 weeks are just to get you started, to get you learning what you need to know. But the idea is these are tools that you can use for the rest of your life to get and maintain the results that you desire. So I would love to have you join me in Metabolic Makeover. We are going to start in the end of March. If you sign up in March, you can get this for 50% off. I am kind of piloting this right now since it's a new program. So if you want to be part of my first cohort going through this program, sign up before the end of the month. Use the code SUMMERCASE. I'll link everything below in the show notes so you can find the link and the code to get 50% off. This is such a deal. You'll get lots of attention from me. I'll put together like a private Facebook group for us where you can be asking me questions each week. You'll get lots of attention and access to me because my goal is I want you to succeed. I want you to have the knowledge and the know-how and the implementation and the help that you need to actually get the results, not just learn what you should do and then walk away and not know how to put it into practice, right? So my goal is to really help you succeed and be there with you every step of the way, in a way that makes sense for your lifestyle, because that's what it's all about. So I'm going to link everything in the show notes. Definitely go check it out. Use that coupon code if you sign up before the end of March, and I can't wait to see you there. Thanks for watching.